there are so many consciousnesses these days who are following their inner guidance, which is what we wish for all of you. And sometimes what happens is the feeling, for example, those coming in with autism are coming with an intention to not focus in the same way that physical beings have been focusing. It's just their intention. They want to focus differently. And yet, everyone here wants them to be like all of you, as if you were all the same anyway. That's that criteria, or those standards that we were talking about. You have these standards. These are the standards that represent living happily ever after. And we say, really? You really are so bold to present those standards, those political standards, those economic standards, those religious standards, those cultural standards? Have you looked around this world? Do you know how different you are? And if you try to hold one another to your standard, do you know the likelihood of accomplishing that sort of compliance? It's time to give it up, and you don't have to have Alzheimer's to do it, you see. But it helps.
So as this condition seems to progress, it seems like exactly what you said is going on. They're detaching, or sort of getting less focus into the physical body. And at some point it seems like they're really not there anymore. Or are they just zipping in and out as...
They are achieving alignment with a vibration that is not discernible to most humans. It is a sort of beginning their transition into non-physical. And often what holds them is your attention to them. Your attention to them, which makes it more difficult for them to find the alignment.
And that could be just vibrationally, not proximity kind of contact, or...
Proximity has nothing to do with communication, because vibrational communication is boundaryless.
Okay. So...
In other words, we are vibrationally communicating with you, and yet you would be hard-pressed to pinpoint our location.
Right. And that's kind of what I was delving into a little bit, was that outside of... There could be things going on at distances to...
When you accept that you are much more than you see here in these physical bodies, that there is a non-physical version of you, and ideally, as we are visiting with you, it is our desire, because we know of the intention that you held coming in, and we know of the potential for satisfaction as you figure this out. Ideally, as you accept that that non-physical part of you exists, and you embrace it and adore it, and you accept that this physical part of you exists, and you embrace it and adore it, and you practice the frequency of that non-physical part of you so that you allow the full participation of that non-physical part of you here and now, now that's delicious life experience. But if you're banging around in your physical body and you're disallowing that, and you're disallowing that, and you're disallowing that, and you're disallowing that, and the more you disallow love, the more you want it. The more you disallow clarity, the more you want it. The more you disallow who you really are, the more you want it. And so in time, there's a tipping point where it becomes obvious to the non-physical part of you that what you really want is more likely to be answered by reemerging into the non-physical than by you getting it figured out so that you can allow it here. Does that make sense to you? But when you figure out how to allow it here, you see.
Yeah, I guess, it's kind of a tough position for me to be in, because I really see the transition is on its way, and I see this is the path that somebody's taken. And I really don't have a problem with someone taking whatever path they want, but everybody around the situation seems to have...
If their concern or they're being troubled by it troubles you, then you're no different than they are.
It
You're
doesn't
just
really
troubled by
trouble
different
me.
things.
I guess...
They're troubled by their friend out in La La Land. You're troubled by them being troubled. What difference does it make? It's still trouble.
I often feel... It's kind of weird, because I feel for them in a way that's sort of like, geez, that would be nicer if you could see things a little differently or something like that. But I feel like an outsider, because I almost can't even say things to people, because
But here's the thing, this is what we're talking about really here today, is that when you get out there in the debate about that, should they go? Well, if they're really old, then this one's really old. Who votes that? This one got run over by a really big truck. How many think that this one should? You have all these criterias that aren't any of your business. And so as you debate the rightness or the wrongness, the debate that you're really debating is your own mortality. The debate that you're debating is your own beingness. It's your own fear. If you are concerned about all of that, it's your own lack of blending of who you really are. You've created such separation between that part of you and this part of you that part of you frightens you instead of calling you in a wonderful way, you see. Mm-hmm. And so when you try to debate all of the rightness or the wrongness of what's going on, how can we prevent it, what caused it, how did we get there, how did it happen, is it in the drinking water, what can we do to prevent it, he had a bad childhood, let's go back and unravel all of that. Do you understand how those conditions just implode? They just become more and more. You cannot get to the bottom of that. And so the wobble just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the discomfort gets stronger and stronger. Or you could just love them. You could just mind your own business and love them. You could just appreciate whatever decision they decide to make. You could just love them unconditionally. You could just not use all of the criteria that you've been gathering around the world to decide whether this one is lovable or not, and you could just love them. You could stop cutting yourself off from your own inner being by using some bogus criteria as the reason not to love them. The most unlovable of them, what do you do to them? How can you punish the most unlovable of them enough? You see, you are punishing yourselves in your punishment of the most unlovable among you, you see. There's no way out of this for any of you other than unconditional love. Well, there is the reemergence into non-physical. That's the way out. Right. That's the way out of the resistance. That's the way out of the hatred. That's the way out of the log jam. That's the way out of the feet stuck in the mud. That's the way out, you see. Mm-hmm. But don't you want to live in your world where you don't have to detach from all of the beauty and magnificence that this world has to offer? Don't you want to be able to selectively sift and participate at the fullest level? Don't you want to hone your frequency and tune yourself to the brilliance of Source? Don't you want that leverage of the energy that creates worlds and that perfect timing of being in the right place at the right time for the most delicious of experiences? And while you wish that for everyone, don't you decide that you don't want to deprive yourself of all of that while you worry about how that person got there?
Exactly.
And whether they should approach this differently? Because when you really are there, so you are holding yourself steady in that place, and someone in full-blown Alzheimer's or any kind of mania or any kind of anything that you would not wish for yourself or for any other, and you're able to hold them in your gaze and love them unconditionally, understanding that they have an inner being who is always reaching for them, and that there is a very high probability that their inner being is reaching for them and in some way now connecting to them, and that's what you are sensing sometimes. It's like there's this other world that they are engaging in more, and there is, you see. Anyone who's watching any of you who sees you happy with CNN playing in the background, if they are a normal human, would come to the conclusion that you are disassociating and that you are uncomfortably detached from reality. Right. And how dare you be joyful under these conditions? Are you watching The Crawl? And most of them aren't ready for you to say, no, I've taken my attention off of that. I've got my attention upon my frequency. So I'm moving in the world with all the data that I need. Because think about it this way. So you stand in this variety that is showing itself to you based upon the frequencies that are common in you. You're not all standing in the same variety. You're each standing in the variety or in the contrast that is, we haven't said this to you before, hear this. It'll help you with this wobble factor. The things you want and the things you believe, that's the variety that is showing itself to you, you see. So you stand there and you launch a rocket of desire, and this rocket goes beyond what you believe. It was born out of that contrast. So then you look at it and you think about what you want, and you line up with it. You find a way to find vibrational alignment with it, and you do. And now it flows into your experience because it must. Because now you've created the vibrational atmosphere for it. It has to manifest in full fashion. So now you stand as the achiever of that and a whole new set of contrasting experiences. And all of you are doing that, and no two of you are standing in the same place ever anyway. And yet most of you spend most of your time trying to get others to understand the place that you're standing. And your greatest frustration is that they don't get it. They never get it. They never get it because they are vibrationally different. What they perceive is different. They have a different relationship with their own inner being. They've lived different life. They've launched different rockets. Their vortex has different things in it, you see. You are the same in so many ways and different in so many ways. And so as you finally reach this place where you unconditionally love those who share this planet with you, because there is enough of a vibrational similarity among you, or you would not be here together. And as you are here together in your differences, it is the perfect balance in order to cause you as this individual perfect creator to expand. And when you focus yourself deliberately and watch all of the universal forces assisting you in the achievement of whatever it is that you are asking for, then it takes the competition out of things. You begin to realize that you have a relationship with Source and you have a relationship with your desires, and that's it. And what anybody else is doing about anything is not your job. They are not yours to control, and it's a good thing because you can't. And as soon as you give up that control of needing them to be a certain way in order for you to feel good, you'll discover how easy it is for you to feel good. And once you discover how really easy it is, easy and fast and steady it is for you to feel good, then those who are vibrationally compatible with you begin flowing into your experience. And you see, here's the thing that is so delicious. If you are a teacher or a healer, a co-creator with someone who has vast vibrational difference in frequency that you do, but you feel assigned by your religion, or you feel assigned by your neighborhood, or you feel assigned by your family relationship, so you're determined that you're going to make this relationship work, even though you can feel this enormous vibrational incompatibility. What we want you to understand is that vibrational incompatibility, trying to accomplish compatibility in strong vibrational incompatibility, is not what you signed on for. But you think it is because you don't think that there's any gain that comes without pain, or any reward that comes without suffering. For the most part, that's sort of the physical human mentality. So you actually, oh, we love you so much, you go looking for trouble, thinking that if you can overcome this really hard thing, that you'll then find yourself out in the light where you feel really good. And it just does not work that way. So if instead you can understand that where you are is where you are, and law of attraction is bringing those to you that make really good vibrational partners for you. If you were teaching calculus, would you really want the child who hasn't learned anything about addition to be your assignment? They gave you to me. I'm going to bring you to this level no time soon. Or would you rather have someone who's on the brink of understanding it already? Analogies are always a bit bulky, but you get the sense of what we're talking about. So if you accept that law of attraction is managing all of this, and that when you are in sync with who you are, law of attraction will bring you others who are in the vibrational proximity of that which you are, oh, you're going to have such delicious co-creative experiences as you keep parlaying yourself into greater and greater and greater understanding. But when you keep trying to dip back too far into frequencies that you've long left behind, then it's really awkward and uncomfortable. And the upshot of it is you begin to feel resentful. You begin to feel that they are keeping you from something that is calling you. And that's where those choices are. Do I want this that just feels intoxicatingly good, or do I want that I feel assigned to and responsible to? You see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm.